The biggest problem is when it comes to visibility, we need to be more visible. It's a strange concept to think about.
Yep. No, we do.
Hey Gertrude, I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to a shipper or carrier and uncovered that they were using 3 to 4 different systems just to move one load tender. As you can imagine, there's a lot of costs, that go into owning multiple different systems, and then the inefficiency of having to converge all the data together.
And what about the carrier side? How do you see that?
Well, I mean, also on the carrier side too, there might be getting load tenders from 3 or 4 different customers in a system. They also have to integrate with that system in order to track properly. One thing we've seen in the US market recently is there's a lot of companies that don't want to share data. So once you get that carrier onboarded, you find out you can't even use their telematics provider because it doesn't sync up with your platform. So then the visibility component's virtually out the window.
But I think also if you look at the US market, but I think it is the same in Europe, also the carrier market is quite fragmented. You have a lot of small carriers, of course. So how can they invest in expensive systems to digitalize whatever they do for their clients, right?
Right. I mean, if you think about it, if the shipper's using 3 or 4 different systems, the carrier's using 3 or 4 different systems, it's literally virtually impossible for us in the market to get that transparency. And one thing that I think the market needs to adjust on is being more transparent with each other so we can get that visibility and serve our customers better. And there's very little platforms out there that are plug and play with a single system that you can use. And I think at CtrlChain, that's what we're trying to achieve.
And especially I think what you say, the plug and play in one single system. What I see, there's a lot of systems out there in the market, but they only try to solve a piece of the pie, right?
Right.
One focuses on tenders, pricing, the other on visibility. But there's so many systems out there, but they don't cover everything, right? From A to Z.
And how can you even make decisions off of that, right? How can you make a smart, strategic decision using 4 different platforms?
True. Plus then also the data formats that you get.
Yep.
And I'm not even talking because we're active, of course, in full truckloads mainly.
Yep.
But if you then also look into the parcel market, the LTL market, then it gets even worse, right?
Right.
The data sets that you get there to get one uniform way of getting visibility, but also indeed taking decisions out of that, that's a real challenge as I see it.
I think the dream state would be you have a platform where you can see all this different information so you can make those strategic decisions quicker. And I think one of the things at CtrlChain we're trying to do is really have that system where you can log in, know exactly what tasks you need to complete on a day-to-day basis, but also make strategic decisions to move your business forward. And I think a lot of companies, like you said, have one strategic thing that they work on, but why not do it in one?
Yeah. So you said in the beginning that you hear these stories quite often, but what do you see as the biggest challenges then in the market for the shippers by having this fragmented data?
They get what they pay for. And what I mean by that is when you have 4 different systems, everything is working against each other. Essentially, the data is all separate. And what ends up happening is they're not really solving for any one particular problem because they're using 4 different systems, right? So one thing I see in particular is with the visibility aspect. Hey, we want you guys to use our system and upload visibility metrics and your in and out times within our system. Then we go to the carrier and the carrier says, no problem, I have a tracking provider that I'm using today. It gives us all this different information. Then I go to that shipper and say, cool, can I connect these? And guess what? No, there's no data sharing agreement. The data doesn't match correctly. It doesn't drive income or it doesn't drive impact for them. And then next thing you know, you have to go to the carrier and say, hey, that shipper we're working with, they can't use your telematics provider. You either need to change or lose the business. And that's the biggest blocker there is. Why do that to a carrier when you can just figure out how to work with
it? Yeah. I think it's all in collaboration. But the interesting part, what you said in the beginning when I asked this question was like, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But if you have 4 different systems, do you think they pay less than moving to one single source of truth?
No. They're not. No, I'm sorry. To take that back. Yes, they would pay less using one system, but if you think about it, let's think of the costs that are associated with using multiple systems. One, you have to pay for each of those systems. Then you have to have employees that know how to use each system, which takes time for training and costs.
You need IT resources.
IT resources for integrations.
Yeah.
Then you need, what naturally happens too is certain users get better at certain products because they're in that more. We all know, like, the Excel whiz in the office, right? You go to the Excel whiz to make you some formulas and some data, and then that person may be out of office, which slows you down, right? So those are the things that happen when you use all these different systems. It just, you can't move quick enough.
How do you see that from our perspective? Because we touched it, of course, one single source of truth. But how do you see the development so far, and what do you see for the near future?
So what I see is, one, we have one of the best execution platforms out there in the market. When it comes to moving a load, very simple to use, very little adoption needed as far as user implementation. It's really plug and play. It's that simple to use. So one, I think we have a really good execution platform that can help our customers move loads from A to B. What we're also doing is constantly evolving. There's never been a scenario where we're not thinking of the future and the next product that we can make for our customers. So I think in the near future, we're going to be able to literally tell our customers what they need to do to complete a load, which loads are going wrong that they need to make exceptions for, and then help them make their decisions better in the long run.
Plus, I think also important to add to that, Thomas, is from a carrier perspective, we're not complicated to onboard them, right?
No.
It's pretty simple,
right.
Straightforward. I think, 10 minutes, you're on board.
You can do it in less than 10 minutes, especially if they
You're
have...
an expert.
Yeah,
I can do it in 10. You can do it in 5.
Yeah. But the thing is, too, is we make our products so easy to use that you don't need implementation. That's the thought here. At CtrlChain, we design our products with the intent that the users are going to be using them, right? And whenever we release these products, they're simple to use. You have the support you need from CtrlChain. You get documentation on how the new features work. And then we work with you guys to make sure you know how to use it.
Yeah, I think so. I had a chat with a colleague recently as well, and we spoke about it, and I also said I'm quite amazed with the fact that it's not out there yet, right?
Yeah.
It's still so fragmented, and companies spend so much money on implementing visibility tools and you name it. But when you ask a simple question, what about your ad hocs? What about new carriers you onboard? Basically the answer is always, there's the blind spot, right? Even on the big ones out there, software tools, they are still not covering everything.
No, and I think the biggest problem with this is just how the industry looks at these things. Everything is such a money grab. Everyone wants to make money off of their particular angle that it really just silos us into certain areas, and we don't really get that full visibility that everyone wants. Would it be that bad if everyone said one day, let's work together and figure out a way to integrate better so we can get that visibility, and then we can also help the carriers more, right? When we have visibility, it goes right to our pillar foundation of helping carriers eliminate waste from the system. And if we have that visibility with carriers, we can reload them quicker. We can get them on loads that are more particular to their business. We can help them be more efficient. And that's the biggest problem, is when it comes to visibility, we need to be more visible. It's a strange concept to think about.
Yep.